Welcome to my office. It's a little colder out here than a lot of office environments, but I love it. We're on a bay off of Lake Huron called Saginaw Bay. Many years on the Great Lakes, the ice can be iffy and you can't even get out. But this year, Saginaw Bay is pretty solid. You have to watch out for the cracks when you go out on the Great Lakes, and this bay is no different. Check with the local people to make sure that you can cross in safe areas. That's what we did. We're going to come out here and try some new techniques. I'm with Trent Einichner and John Hoyer. I don't think hot boxes have ever been used on Saginaw Bay, or if so, it's very limited, so we're going to see how they work. We're also going to try some jigging things. Jigging is a great way to catch fish out here, so we're looking forward to spending a few days seeing if we can catch a few bigger fish. So why don't you come and join us, and you too can get your next bite.
Just looking for the next bite, next bite, next bite. Just looking for the next bite.
And I tell you what, the monsters are in here. You know, this is a popular fishing area with all these lakes around here. That's so awesome.
Saginaw Bay is one of the largest bays on Lake Huron. It helps to form Michigan's iconic Mitten-Thumb region of its lower peninsula. The most prominent feature, or perhaps lack thereof, are its enormous mudflats. These mudflats serve as a sort of walleye buffet, providing much sought-after winter forage, such as minnows or red worms.
Finding walleyes on the Great Lakes can seem like a daunting task. We like to use a simple strategy. It revolves around big moves to find fish and small moves to catch fish. So what that means is when we start off any given day, if we're not marking and catching fish, we're going to make a big move. That can be a half mile, even up to a mile at times. We keep doing that until we start having some action. So we're marking fish, we're all catching fish, and then it comes time for the small moves. Small moves are 100 yards, 200 yards, and what we're doing then is we're looking for a denser population of that school of fish. So once our catch rate starts going up, we know we found what we're looking for, we're going to stay there and whack them. So next time you're on the Great Lakes, remember that simple strategy. Big moves to find fish, small moves to catch them.
As Gary previously mentioned, once into their smaller moves situation, he, Trent, and John are also setting up remote jigging stations.
Yeah, he's gone now.
Keep an extra eye on the area of concentration for the bite, while hopefully landing a few more active walleyes.
Of course, as soon as I get out of the shack, then he swims away. He's just there, hoping he'd come back. He came rifling up off the bottom. Nice. Feels like a good one. Well, he couldn't take it. He decided he had to come back. This is a good one, John. Come out. Yeah, that was awesome. Wow. He came earlier, and I kind of just watched him, and I came out, and then he disappeared. So I jigged it up and down 2-3 times, and I set the rod back down, and he came rifling up off the bottom and just drilled it.
Oh, those are nice head shakes.
Come on, baby, get your head in there. There we go.
There's a nice one.
Oh yeah, that's a good fish. That's a nice fish.
That was a nice one.
That was really cool how he did that. Wow. I thought that he lost interest and swam away, you know. But I tell you, I just put it down and it must have just sat there. And that minnow swam just a little bit and boom, he just, if you see the graph, he just rifled up off the bottom. Yeah, it was awesome.
Wow, they're healthy out here.
Yeah, nice and fat. Nice and fat. That's good.
Get that puppy off for you here.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks.
You let that one go?
Yeah, we'll let him go.
All right, let's do it. I'll take those all day.
Come on, baby.
See ya.
Got me in the face.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Tracker Boats. Fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Catch more fish. And Motor Guide. Accuracy matters. Closed captioning for The Next Bite is provided by Power Pole, the ultimate in shallow water anchors. Necessity is the mother of invention, and much like with planer boards on open water, remote jigging stations have evolved in order to cover more area and various depths at one time.
Whoa, hot box! John, hot box city. I think this one's mine?
You beat me to it.
Incidentally, akin somewhat to the nature of a dead rod, snare rods can also give you an edge, which can be a helpful discovery for patterning, depending on the mood of the walleye.
Wow, this was a nicer one. That thing was fighting
fish.
like a 25-incher.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like just dogging on it.
This fish was a spunky one.
For sure. It's feeding time, I suppose. They're pretty active.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Great Lakes walleyes is actually how temperamental they are. It's really kind of a boom or bust scenario. When they're biting and the fish are ripping around looking for you, the most important thing is to get noticed. So a couple of things that I like to do to get noticed is I like to rip it hard, high in the water column to call those fish into me. If I'm using a spoon, same thing, 4 to 6 feet off the bottom, fluttering it around really hard. When the fish comes in, I like to crank up my cadence and really take it away from them. And a lot of times they'll react instantly and come up and golf your bait. The other important time of the day is when the fish go neutral or even negative. Now it's a completely different deal. One of the clues of when that starts happening is you'll start getting bit more on set lines, things that aren't moving at all. Another clue that you'll see is the fish will come into your screen a lot slower. So when that starts happening, I like to slow everything down. I like to work my bait a lot slower through the water column, a little closer to bottom. And when that fish does show up, I just like to keep things nice and subtle, and I keep my bait pretty close to it, so I'll have a chance throughout the day of getting an extra fish or two by really just kind of force feeding those fish.
Got him, John.
Nice!
I don't think he's real big. Just got the line back down, saw the minnow bounce, and sounded like he's nervous. And
ooh, yeah, that's a nice one.
oh, there he was.
Nice.
Ooh,
That's a nice one.
a lot nicer than he felt.
Oh. Wow. Just dropped it right back down, and another one ate it probably.
Yeah.
Wow, they travel in packs out here. I just marked like 4 of them.
Nice.
They're just flying through now. Those are starting to fire up.
That's beautiful fish.
I want to go jig. I'm putting this thing back.
All right, I'm gonna get a minnow.
See ya.
So we're using the precision trolling app.
The Real Deal brought to you by Precision Trolling Data, giving anglers the real deal on crankbait diving depth information.
I'm here sitting in a brand new boat. This is the Nitro ZV19 Sport. This boat actually comes in 2 models. One's a fishing model, and then the Sport model. Sport model has got a lot of family type flair. I look at all good boats from a standpoint of professional fishing in their heritage. This particular boat has in its lineage the 21-foot ZV21, which has been one of the premier boats in big water walleye fishing tournaments. It gives you this hull, basically this is just a little bit shorter version of it, gives you fantastic rough water, smooth running. It keeps you dry. That type of a hull, the toughness, the fast hole shots, the performance that you get out of a boat that was designed for hardcore competition, but yet brought to you in a family style version. The front end's got a lot of storage, a lot of rod storage for your rods, all your tackle boxes, but where the changes are is mainly in the back end of the boat. It's way more family friendly. We've got, for instance, the flip up seats here for extra seating. This boat actually seats 6 people, which is a lot for a 19-foot boat. But yet we still have fantastic live wells. You've got two-door system here. The live well is actually one big live well, but it has a divider, or if you're fishing for bigger fish, you can take that divider out in the center, and then you've got a large live well. For you part-time muskie anglers, or maybe the kids want to sit up in the back, we've got a plug-in seat base. But yet, when it comes time to tube with the family, to pull water skiers, anything like those family activities that we all love to do, we can put a ski pylon in this outlet here. So it has really the best of all worlds. You've got fantastic fishing capability with this boat, but in the same token, the roominess and all of the amenities that a good family boat has. So I'm telling you what, if you want a good all-around boat, you cannot beat this boat. The ZV-19 Sport is built just for that.
Breaking down large flats, variation in cadences, and attenuating your setup for both active and more lethargic bite periods can mean big fun on big ice. Whether you're snaring from a remote jigging setup or reading a live sonar and jigging.
Oh, that one smoked it. It's midday, all of a sudden they're hungry. Yes, that one wanted it hard and fast. I actually marked a couple fish and they came flying in really quickly, so I just started jigging it harder. It's kind of a sign that they're active again. It's the middle of the day, but for whatever reason they turned on, so I was just cranking on. This thing came in and shot like 6 feet off the bottom and just smoked it. That was on the Shiver Minnow spoon, or the Shiver spoon by Moonshine.
Although on the surface, switching your cadence on the fly, or even starting to read transitional period behavior may seem obvious.
This one was funny. I literally worked it 6 times, probably 8 feet off the bottom, and it kept going back down. I pounded the bottom a little bit and came flying back up, and it literally acted like I'd never seen a lure and just crushed it the 6th time.
As with most things, Walleyes and Gary Parsons, you can go much more in depth in terms of detail in your presentation, depending on the relative reaction of the walleye. Welcome to Jigging Spoons Intensified.
Jigged and he chased for a little bit, and then he wouldn't bite, and then he jigged again, and he just crushed it. I'm going to cover 4 basic strokes that you use, jigging strokes that you use when you're using a spoon when you're fishing walleyes through the ice. One is the first typical cadence that a lot of people use. In fact, it's probably the most popular. That's about a 2-foot lift, and then it drops on a totally free fall, and you stop for a second, pause, lift, basically stop, lift, stop, and it's about a 1.5 to 2 foot stroke. That works very well to call the fish in or when the fish are aggressive. Most of the time they'll hit that bait once you pause it. There's a variation of that, and I call it the short stroke. It's about a 6-inch to a foot hop, and you'll notice that if the fish are swimming up to your lure and they're turning away and they won't bite it, go to the short stroke. Go to the 6-inch to 1 foot stroke. I like to do them so that the pause isn't real long. It basically will also call the fish in, but it doesn't necessarily scare them away. There are times where you'll mark a lot of fish right on the bottom, and sometimes you can get those fish to bite. So what you do is you free spool your spoon to the bottom, and then you do 6-inch hops. You go lift and let it crash right back into the bottom, lift, let it crash back into the bottom. I don't let it sit on the bottom for more than a split second, and then I'm jigging again. You'll be surprised. There are days where they just crush that. And then the last stroke is one that you can use almost any time when a fish is coming in, and that's the shake. It's just like what the bluegill and the crappie fishermen do. You can shake that spoon, especially if you have like a half a minnow on the end of it. You just shake it and then try to raise that fish off the bottom. Stop once in a while, shake, stop once in a while. And that basically will entice a lot of those fish to bite. So you've got 4 basic strokes: the long stroke, the short stroke, then the bottom crashing, the bottom bouncing basically, and then the shake. And with those 4, if you master those and then kind of mix it up with the fish, many times you're going to get those fish to bite.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Tracker Boats. Fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Catch more fish. Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate. Motor Guide, accuracy matters. And Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. Hot topics, leading information, and tackle and techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury.
So over the years, I've done some kind of tough language translations on the show. You know, for Trent Einichner, I did some German translations. For Geoff up in Canada, I did some Canadian translation. Down here, I'm going to do my toughest translation ever, and that's translating engineering terminology into some words that we can all understand. So what I want to talk about is the 3 new V8 engines, as well as the traditional Verado that we've been running for several years. And the reason I got to talk about them is there's several features that kind of overlap. Some got features, some don't. So let's try and talk about the main features that you can get in these engines. Now, first of all, you'll see that this engine, the V8, has the Verado designation, as well as my L6 Verado. What Verado typically means is that you get the more premium package of features. You're going to get the midsection that's got the mounts that reduce vibration and sound. You're going to get the digital throttle. You're going to get the digital steering. So it's a premium package. It's just a really comfortable package to go out there and run. It's kind of the high-end package. Now, the other thing that you can get is both in the Verado V8 and the Pro XS V8, they have an advanced throttling system. And the gist of it is that in the low to mid-range RPMs, you're going to get more torque. And torque is important. Walleye boats, deep feed boats, multi-species boats, heavier boats need torque for hole shot, torque for running rough waves and accelerating, torque for top end speed. So that throttling system is really, really good for that. Now, all of the engines come in a little bit different horsepower ranges. The one that's got the widest range is the Pro XS. You can get a Pro XS all the way down into a 200 horse engine, 225. That might go on like those 19, 20 foot boats. You can also get it up in the 250 and 300 horse, so 20 and 21 foot walleye boats. The cool thing is, the Verado we've been running for years still comes in that 350 horse and even the 400 horse. So lots of engines out there. The thing that I would recommend to you is if I was looking at a deep V walleye boat, a little bit heavier boat, what I would look at is one of the new V8 engines, either the Verado version like we got here or the Pro XS version, because they're going to give you the performance on the water that we've come to demand from Mercury.
If a hole in the ice can be anything like the proverbial rabbit hole, we went all the way down and back on this Great Lakes ice with Gary Parsons, John Hoyer, and Trent Einichner.
That's a nice size one. Good eating fish if we were keeping him. I'm gonna go ahead and get him unhooked and get him back. It's kind of chilly out with the wind blowing here. There she goes.
In terms of starting with featureless mud flats and ending with solid beta on 4 basic strokes for walleye ice jigging. The long reach, the extra angler, the effectiveness of the remote jigging stations held their own against Trent's, John's, and Gary's own concerted efforts in conjuring up these moody, roaming Saginaw Bay, Michigan mudflats walleyes.
That's a nice fish.
Nice one.
That was really cool how he did that.
Wow.
I thought that he lost interest and swam away, you know. But I tell you, I just put it down and it must have just sat there. And that minnow swam just a little bit. And clunk, he just, if you see the graph, he just rifled up off the bottom. Yeah, it was awesome. There he is. Oh, got him. Oh, this feels like a good fish. Oh, baby. It's a good fish. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. He's a good one. Come here. Come here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. He's a good one. Come here. Come here. Oh, yeah. Oh. Man, he's a good one. Woo. Oh, he came up, looked at that thing. I ran out here quick, and by the time I got here, he had it hammered. Oh. Oh, come on. There you go. Wow. Nice fish. Ooh, yeah, that's what you come to Saginaw Bay for. Nice ones like this. Oh, did he give me a good fight, too? Well, buddy, we're going to let you back go. Come on, buddy. There he goes. Push, 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 push. There could be fish anywhere out here. That's
Don't stand up in a canoe. Brought a power pack to charge my phone and left the cord in the room.
A man has great intentions. The execution is lackluster.
Do you remember what we were doing this tip on?
Stuff like that. And if
And I'll tell you when I'm ready.
and not hit the attractor, and yeah.
Check with the locals. They'll usually tell you where it's fairly safe to go. But this year, you know, you deal with the cracks. We find good, safe places. Let's go. I'm rambling.
Catch them, Trent?
Oh yeah.
Great engine for walleye boats, deep V. If I was gonna stick, here's the Deer Boozer. This is an L6, supercharged Verado. This one's V8, high displacement. Can you believe that? High displacement.
The Next Bite would like to thank the Comfort Inn Riverfront Hotel of Bay City, Michigan. Explore this freshwater playground with classic amenities and easy access to Bay City. Featuring a free hot breakfast and an indoor heated pool, behind every great day is a great night with Comfort Inn Riverfront Hotel in Bay City, Michigan.